steak and blowjobs.
Yeah, it's just a few days away. It is really... A few years ago when someone brought this up, I just giggled, but it's really catching on.
Yeah, tell everybody who's never heard of it before.
It's sort of the companion holiday to Valentine's Day, which tends to focus a little bit more on heterosexual women. As the recipient of Valentine's gift. So quite a number of years ago, and I'm going to have to do some Googling, someone came up with steak and blowjob day on March 14th.
Okay.
And I'm like, someone could be offended, or you could just giggle and go, actually, that's pretty damn funny. And
it's hilarious.
So I Googled up, and I'll send it over to Megan, some tips on oral sex, and in case you need them. But I forgot to print it out, so like I said, look it up. You probably know. And and then I also said, well, if I have tips on blowjob, I also figured, well, why not a tip on a good pan-fried steak? Because not everyone can pull out a grill.
Yep.
With the weather that we've been having. So I found Martha Stewart's steak recipe.
Well,
so I figured, on the Facebook site, there's your tips for oral sex. Things like, it's nice if it's clean, so that helps. Mm-hmm. And then, use your
And that's for the recipient, too.
Use your hands to simulate a deep throat if that's not something you're comfortable with. You can vary strokes. You can just focus on the head. Don't forget the testicles. Mm-hmm. It's all there.
Okay.
But that and a nice steak recipe.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Can I please throw my sister's methodology into the mix? Because this proved to be life-changing for the last couple that we entertained for dinner and we cooked it for. So I have a Dutch oven, which is a well-seasoned iron.
Cast iron.
Yeah, and it's deep, and this keeps your kitchen from getting completely trashed. So you use in the bottom, you heat it up, but you put both butter and olive oil. The olive oil keeps the butter from burning. And then you put your spices or whatever, and it's like 4 to 6 minutes on each side, depending on how you are. It's unbelievable.
And then you can also make like a wine sauce with that, because once you take the steaks out and you're resting them, throw in about a quarter cup of wine, whatever you like, scrape up all the bits, and then add like really cold butter, like a tablespoon at a time, and keep stirring, and then you'll get a really nice little pan sauce.
Wow, look at us.
It's delicious.
Okay, there you go.
So, but really, I would probably, it depends on what you're doing. We talked about this, in an earlier episode. Sometimes you want to have the sex before you have the food, so you're not too full.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, or something like this, yeah.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. And there's less chance for things,
all sorts of, tips on the Great Northern Sex Cast, because food is really important when, it's really complementary with the land of sex.
Well, indeed.
But I still think, like I've always said before, they should be sort of separate. I don't like to combine them myself.
I like the idea. Yeah, me too. I like the idea, though, of having sex first so you're really hungry. Because that's fun. It's really fun to eat if you're hungry later. Yeah. That's good.
Then even the food and eating is sexy. And then you have, wait a little bit and then have more sex.
Okay, but this is a food and story that's absolutely probably kind of makes me gag.
I honestly, from the tone of your voice earlier, did not think you were going there.
No, it's bad. So this one happened in Tennessee, which I'm sorry, but I went to Tennessee last fall, got married in Tennessee. Yeah, you have a buddy now. All of a sudden, curled up next to you, Fred the studio dog decided to join Colleen, and she didn't notice until now.
No, I was not paying attention.
And he's got the binky. There's a blanket on the couch.
Oh, yeah, I was not feeling well the other day. In fact, I was like in the office doing payroll and then puking into a bucket and then doing payroll. Yeah. The joys, because it needed to be done. People have it. They like to be paid.
That's, that's a good thing.
So in between things, I was laying on the sofa, freezing to death, and I had a blanket.
And Fred found the blanket, and he is like, he looks very happy, doesn't he?
My blankie now, my pillow.
Yeah. No, you're fine. Okay, so back to gagging. What I was going to say about Tennessee is the people there are incredibly nice. I got married down there, thought it was just the most delightful place to go. So finding that this story was from there just appalled me even more. So, there's all these food delivery services now, like Bite Squad is one, and, things like that. This one's called Dinner Delivered. Well, a guy named Howard Webb allegedly put his testicles in an order of salsa that a customer had ordered. You okay?
Testicles and salt. There are peppers in there. That could be bad.
Well,
I mean, this is the most mild salsa ever, because if someone's putting their
somebody videotaped it. It made its way to a TV station, and this guy, Howard Webb, is seen seemingly putting his testicles in a cup of salsa, saying, "Ooh, this feels good on my balls." And he said, well, this is what you get when you give an 89-cent tip for a 30-minute drive. So it was revenge balls dipping.
But how did... I'm curious. So
I know the tip. How did he know? I think
maybe it was someone he went to before.
Paid with a card.
Oh.
Paid with the card probably before.
Oh.
And didn't, but how does he know that he wasn't going to give him cash when he got there?
Yeah, so there's not a percentage taken out, or someone can't, depending, and sometimes there's unscrupulous owners. It's if you hand them the cash.
Yeah, then they've got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he's fired.
Oh, yeah, I would hope so.
And he was reported to law enforcement, and he was arrested and charged with adulteration of food, liquid, or pharmaceuticals.
I honestly hope that some some capsaicin got stuck on his testicles too for the dip.
Yeah, I mean, I chop jalapenos, and it my nail beds burn for like a day after I do that.
Yeah, I have to wear gloves for this shit. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Yeah. So this story freaks me out. Really freaks me out.
Okay.
So this guy's been dating this girl for about a year, and his mother keeps asking him basically how big his dick is. And furthermore, she withholds her approval of the relationship until he answers the question. Just let that sit there for a second. He likes her a lot. He says she's great, but her mom is interesting to say the least. And, she just keeps bringing it up. Thoughts?
There's a lot of. I'm highly confused, and I don't understand why the daughter hasn't said, "Mom, stop." Because if someone isn't, I don't care what the intrusive behavior is of the other family. Mm-hmm. If the person in that family doesn't have the other person's back, then you got a problem.
Yeah. Well,
but when it comes to as personal as what does your penis look like? How?
Yeah.
This is so much worse than the poor mom that was running around trying to find her son a date for Valentine's.
I know. That was a cute story.
Oh my God. I wonder how weird I am.
Well, you don't know yet, really, do you?
No, not really. I don't. Wow.
But she says.
I've been a mom for like 18 years now, so.
Yeah, so you have time to be weird. Yeah, you do.
Oh, God, I hope I'm not that weird. Oh, my
she keeps saying, what's his drumstick size? All men who marry into this family have a big drumstick. The girl.
Honestly, if you can't even use the proper terminology, you got a problem there, too.
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand why it's lasted a year at this point.
Well, yeah, because I'd be wondering what mental issues the daughter has.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is kind of funny. So who knows what what are Fantasy Gifts going to be doing for Mother's Day? Do you guys do a promo for that?
We don't do too much.
No.
It's a day for like little kids and their moms. I mean, it's just occasionally we might have something like, hey, for your hot mama, blah, blah, blah. But it's here's some stuff to help you become one. I don't know. Or it's the, remember why, there's a reason you became a mom, a couple of things, but it's, this would be our 39th Mother's Day, but, it's never been enormous. It's not like Easter is not a big day for, we're closed on Easter, but it's not really a big sex toy day. Even though there are rabbit vibes and egg vibrators and stuff, but still.
You've never done a Peeps display? Get it? Okay.
No.
Okay. Sorry. Well, a drugstore in Scotland, I think this is kind of funny, has a reminder for Mother's Day on the shelf stocked with condoms, lubes, and vibrators. And, so they're promoting, sex toys for Mother's Day. Thoughts?
I think you probably should, I would promote like naps for moms. Moms are tired. I do know that.
Yeah.
Moms are tired.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little strange. And I think the only people that can buy those kinds of gifts really are your intimate partners. I don't know. Maybe some families are comfortable, but I wouldn't have bought my mom a vibrator.
Yeah, I mean it's the gifts are from like your kids. I mean, and I'm not. Yeah, I mean, hell, my mom if she wants a vibrator, can go in the warehouse, so it's not like I have to do that. But it's a little weird.
Yeah. So there's a group of international celebrities, I guess you should call them, including but not limited to Martina Navratilova. That are going to strip naked for a new, all new Monty, a female Monty, basically. Did
the movie The Full Monty? You mean that?
Yeah, they're doing this show to raise awareness of cancer in intimate parts of the body.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because there is a stage show. Mm-hmm. The Full Monty. The movie was adorable.
Oh God, the movie is great.
And thing is, because it was, honestly, ordinary guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have not been fun if it was like Brad Pitt and George Clooney doing this shit. No, it's the fact that it was ordinary dudes.
Well, and
made it hilarious.
I saw it on the stage.
Oh, I've never
seen it on
the stage.
I saw it at the Ordway Theater in St. Paul. God, 15 years ago. It was delightful. Mm-hmm. Really cute.
Oh, by the way, I looked up. I was trying to look up origins and steak and blowjob day, but it's also called steak, and I've never heard this Knobber Day.
Yeah, that's probably across the pond.
Yeah, but I've now learned something. New.
Yep.
Observed by North America, Australia, and Europe. That's sort of vague there.
Yep.
Oh my God. It's conceived, we should give credit where credit's due. Conceived in 2002 by DJ Tom Birdsey on WFNX radio.
So that's somewhere.
It's been criticized as sexist and patriarchal. It's hilarious. It's funny.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's just hilarious.
Yeah, It's really cool. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, they're all doing this to promote awareness of different kinds of cancer. And I don't know if you knew this, but Martina did have a pretty aggressive type of breast cancer.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she's fine now. But it's hardcore. So
where's this performance going to be?
I think it's in England, actually, for this one. And, they talk about, they want to raise awareness about how expensive chemo is and just how hard it all is to help that stuff.
Yeah, it may a very large portion of folks who were, diagnosed with cancer end up, especially in the United States, end up in bankruptcy. And they just can't afford, or any major illness.
Yeah.
So, and I can see doing that in England too, because I'm pretty sure that was a British film. it was all set there and British stuff like that.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think we talked in the last show about me having nightmares. Mm-hmm. And in waking life, I'm an arachnophobe. Okay. I do not like spiders.
So in other words, like when I went down to do laundry the other day and I opened the dryer and then I looked and there was like a little yellow spider about the size of my thumbnail walking across the edge of the dryer. That would have been the last time that you set foot in your laundry room?
No, I would have screamed my head off, whacked it with whatever I possibly could have find, sprayed the entire house with Raid, called the exterminator, and bitched about it for the next week.
Yeah, I have not told my kid that I found a spider downstairs. Had it been like summer, I would have put it outside, but it's winter and I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. And so it ended up in the garbage.
Spider heaven.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, they are now coming up with an erectile dysfunction treatment that uses, say it with me, spider venom.
Okay.
Spider venom. So it does not entail having a live spider bite your balls. But what it is it's venom from the Brazilian wandering spider, which could be absolutely deadly because it's extremely toxic. But they have created a gel, and a tiny amount of the fluid is used in the product. So it's, they're testing it right now, but they think it could be better than Viagra, and about a 30-minute waiting period, no negative side effects yet. And so the Journal of Sexual Medicine is reporting on this, and they're thinking that it could be on the horizon in the United States.
And hopefully it will have less side effects, than if you have an erection for more than 4 hours.
Yeah, go ahead.
But another thing, according to this, speaking of cures, there's like a third patient has now been reportedly cured of HIV. So they are So there's a very good chance that in the next a few years they will figure that out, and that's a virus. So if they figured out that, think about all the stuff they could cure.
Well, I wish they'd get cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But
a lot of that they're thinking, they could. I mean, if you live long enough, something's going to mutate. So they just got to figure out, how. That's the thing. Everything's different. Once something's, how do you know? But just be able to target that. Okay, so maybe if they can target a virus, but then again, we already have 7.5 billion people on this world.
I know, but kids should never get cancer.
No, they shouldn't. It's just.
That's so wrong.
Yeah,
that's just.
Mind you, I'm like 90 something, and I'm told I have cancer. I'm going to go, okay, that's fine. I lived a long enough life, but if you're a little dude, no. Mm-hmm.
Terrible. Every once in a while, I come across another wackadoo wedding story. And this one is there's like a bride wedding shaming Facebook group. This latest post comes from a woman who says, "Yeah, this one's food free." So basically, it's an all day thing, and there's going to be just alcohol but no food. And the bridesmaid's like, "Should I say something? Should I take a pizza for myself and our friends? Should we?" offer to take up a collection to get some catering. Like, I don't know what to do.
That is really, how do you not feed people at a wedding?
I don't know.
That is really quite strange.
Well, and they expect you to hang out, go to the church, then go to this park, and then go blah, 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 blah. It's like.
And at no point has the bride ever said, no. Because I've made it very, years ago after the first wedding, first or second wedding, you realize that the bride and groom never really get to eat.
Right.
Because they're too busy hugging people or this or that. So we learned, either have to set time aside or make sure that there's food delivered to your hotel room or wherever you're staying that night. Mm-hmm. Because everyone's like, I never got to eat, or they're too nervous to eat, or you couldn't eat in the big white dress years ago in the 80s. It was too big.
Yeah.
Or everybody, you're just too busy taking pictures. You're just too damn busy, and then you're starving. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times people ended up with like a Domino's pizza late at night. They paid a fortune for the big thing. And they never get to eat any of it. But no. Oh.
Yeah, no, they announced in order to cut costs, they're not providing food. So we're all supposed to just show up and, I don't know. I just
and that point. Have a wedding, and have cake and coffee and punch, mm-hmm. and then you're done. Mm-hmm. Honestly, there's no way that you can't order cupcakes from Costco.
Yeah. It's just I do not understand this whole thing. You've talked about you're going to let your daughter choose, mm-hmm. but. You're going to throw her a wedding if she wants one, right?
Yeah. I'll do what we can at the time or stuff like that. But believe me, I'm Italian. There will be food. There'll be more food that you can't even function. That's how much food there's going to be. Oh my God, my sister and when she got married, and then my brother got married. There was like the appetizer buffet was more food than I've gotten in most weddings I've ever gone to, and then there was a sit down meal. There's food at an Italian wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
People.
Food. I don't know what they.
I know, it's sort of weird because you just, weddings, this falls under things of communication. I mean, you communicate this. I mean, and I would communicate that I'm not attending your wedding.
Yeah. Well,
because at what point, can you just imagine just like all the Grubhub and food and pizza deliveries happening individually?
Well, and the thing that I don't get is if, I don't know what they're spending, and it doesn't say, like, but if she's wearing like a $5,000 dress and expecting people to follow her around and not feed them, I mean, if you're so self-centered, and expecting gifts. Then just go get married by yourself. If if you're that self-centered, right? That's fairly new. I can see why. That's a little weird. Was Emily Post ever a real person?
No.
Person?
I don't know.
Well.
Oh, I can't imagine. Yeah. Because I read Miss Manners every day. It's hilarious.
Oh, do you still read Miss Manners?
Oh, yeah. God. Her son and daughter are writing it now or something like that.
Oh, really?
It is funnier than hell.
Is it? Because it used to be kind of just too much for me.
Oh, yeah. It still is. Most of the time, you're just like, it is 2019, not 1919. So some things need to evolve. Here you go. But for the most part, some things don't change. When it comes to thank you notes, providing your guest with sustenance and not and just and then just politely staring at someone blankly when they ask something stupid. Why would you want to know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I swear there's only like 3 questions. Most of them, and one of the 3 questions is always about a wedding.
I'm glad I eloped. I swear I could not be more thrilled with what we did. Mm-hmm. I do not have a single regret. My sister still barbs me. Mm-hmm. Don't you wish I was there? And I haven't done it, but nope. It was just what I wanted. No,
yeah, careful what you ask for.
Okay, I don't know if this is a fetish per se, but it's definitely, it's a mindset. I don't know. Okay. Amber Luke has spent $11,000 on extreme body modification and tattoos, and has transformed herself into a self-described dragon. A human dragon. She calls herself...
Like tattooed scales on and stuff?
Blue-eyed white dragon is how she describes herself. And yeah, she's got a forked tongue. And she was a clinically depressed teenager. And then she started getting tattooed and found this as a great way to express herself. And then she started doing other things. So, over 100 tattoos, and she had her eyes tattooed, and I don't know. I do
think that at one point you do go over into obsessive, possibly mental health issues.
That's what I'm thinking.
Stuff like that, because generally we're all about, hey, do what you want. It's your body, but I don't think that something like this could possibly be, might not be healthy. And that's the thing, because I'm trying. The other day we were talking about something in the warehouse, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God, I should take a picture of this. And then I'm realizing I don't know how to use the words that I want without possibly shaming someone who might like this item. And that's after, this March 17th will be 30 years that I've been doing this. And I still sometimes don't have the vocabulary. I want to make sure I don't say something wrong. I don't mean to shame anyone, but this does not seem, you say you do things with your body, if you're happy with it, but yeah, I don't.
She's getting.
I think this goes over the line. Sort of like the person who liked to be roasted. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think there are lines. And, and I certainly don't want to shame anyone, or her or this or that, but I don't believe that probably would be considered healthy behavior by most folks.
She's getting silver grills applied to her teeth, so it will look like she has 2 silver fangs.
What I find fascinating is that there are people that will do this.
Yeah.
Does it? I mean, I know that there are. I mean, who was the plastic surgeon or whoever it is that did the tongue? I mean, who was the tattoo artist that would go after the eyes?
Yeah.
I mean, that can't be safe.
I wouldn't think so.
Part.
I wouldn't think so.
I wonder, there's a lot of rules out there because generally some folks don't have, a fair amount of common sense. And, and I, like I said, I don't want to impede on someone's person. I mean, I have tattoos, but there is a line, and I think she's leaped right over it.
Yeah, well, get this. She got an Instagram page, bunch of followers. She's referred to as a social media influencer, and she's been offered many, many business opportunities. She's made money by working as a model on photo shoots, and is likely to sell advertising on her Insta page. So, what?
I don't know. It's a little heartbreaking. I mean, because I think, it seems more like exploitation than,
Well.
Yeah. But then again, she's exploiting herself.
Well, in other plastic surgery news, we have something more conventional, but you may have a similar opinion on. A gal named Nikki Valentina Rose claims she has the biggest boobs in Britain. She has spent over $52,000 on breast augmentation over the years, and she's going under the knife again. She's going to have her 34 double N enlarged, and she's going to have rib removal surgery.
Now, are there physicians who do this because they're afraid, because they're competent and they're afraid if they say no, she'll go to someone who's not competent?
That's a great question. I don't see a quote from any of the docs involved.
Yeah. Same thing. I mean, then again, I suppose this is what makes the human race interesting.
Well, she was bullied when she was a kid about her nose, so she got a rhinoplasty, and she had 3 more nose jobs later, and also lip fillers. And she decided to follow in the footsteps of Lolo Ferrari, who had very large boobs. And so she started out as a 32B, and now she's a 34 double N, waiting for increase.
The skin. I mean, how do you hold them up? Because I don't. But I remember one of the very first times I went to the show, and I'm blanking on the name of it, in Vegas. It used to be With the Sea. Remember the big electronic show that always was an adult section there years ago? Now it's sort of separated out. And I'm there with my brother, and I watch my brother's eyeballs just get huge. And I glance over to my left, and there are the women from Big Top Video.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, and you can sort of tell where I'm going with this. These are very large-breasted women. And, they've got, like, little tiny bikini tops on, barely covering their nipples with little straps. And so and I'm looking at that, and I'm like, I've seen, like, the box covers and stuff, but to see the woman there in person, it really was quite fascinating.
Yeah.
We're just going through there, and she's wearing a tiny little booty shorts and a tiny little top, and she's going to be signing autographs at the booth. And I'm not sure it was, because this was probably late 80s, early 90s. And I was just, early 90s, and it was fascinating. And I'm just like, I've got reasonable boobs, but I don't want them to be any bigger.
No, listen to this. She does get modeling work, but she says that her boobs get in her way of her doing things in the car or shaving her armpits. The implants come outward toward the armpits, and she cannot see her armpits when she shaves. Listen to this. I float on them when I sleep because it's relaxing. It's like sleeping on a big pillow. If I keep them on my back, it's too much weight bearing down on my chest. It feels like someone is sitting on me.
So she sleeps on them, like on her stomach.
Can you imagine?
I bet she has to put, pillows? Oh, sorry, I'm gesturing and I had to put the microwave. But like pillows, like on her stomach?
I would think so. She has been warned by her doctor that her body structure is at risk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I certainly hope that there's an enormous amount of legal stuff she has to do before she does any more stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because once again, she just, folks focus on the outliers and make it difficult for other folks who just might want to do something, you know. That's so weird.
I know. It is. Now, I want to get your take on this. So, for Valentine's Day, there was a European lingerie brand called Agent Provocateur. Do you know that one?
Oh, yeah. They sell like a G-string for like $300. It's hilarious. They had a little, one of the last times I went to Vegas, they had a little shop there. Completely, obscenely overpriced lingerie. And that was a decade ago.
Not quality for what it was?
Oh, fuck no.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
All hype. All hype. I just looked at the stuff and I went, it doesn't look any different than the stuff I sold in 10 years ago. Seriously.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very fair criticism. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about this one, though. Mm-hmm. So they did some series of images, with women seductively posing in lingerie. So one was bending over in front of a mirror wearing a lacy bra and maybe crotchless panties. Another lying down in a suspender belt. Another sitting there in a bondage-style underwear getup. And people went on Twitter and called these damaging shots. And one woman says, well, one woman is lying down with one hand to her head as though in pain. Some people say that you would see that as the throes of pleasure, but you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Her face and body language depict pain and confusion and blah, blah, blah. No consent or pleasure in this image. Well, if there's nobody that's standing over her, forcing her to do something in the depiction, then how do you know that? Another one says she looks like she's cold and dead behind the eyes. Anyway, they're saying that these are just terrible objectification and everyday sex. This is one of those things, if you don't like it, don't look at the ads, don't buy the product.
It's really fascinating. What is fun is that women's images, the way the women's bodies get photographed are hilarious because I've seen websites where men pose the way women pose, and it's just absurd looking. Because,
oh, really?
Yeah, because most women, nobody sits that way. Okay, I have, depending on the bra I have, sometimes you have to, bend over and shake to get the boobs in the right spot. No one's ever,
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So, honestly, bending over in front of a mirror and shake, in a bra, that's, the only one that made sense there. But I laugh at some of the poses. Modeling is weird. Modeling is highly weird, the poses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when you have how sometimes you're on your knees slightly bent and turned to the sideways and stuff like that, sort of like a pinup pose or whatever with your hands on the hips. I picture that guy doing that. It's hilarious because nobody ever sits that way.
Oh, that's funny. What a great idea to do.
Oh yeah. So honestly, there's not any images, but these are the same images that folks have been using for years to sell lingerie, and you're not gonna take a picture of someone wearing a garter belt and a bra and panties the same way as if you're the coat suit that the Queen would wear. It's different clothing. The guys that pose in underwear pose differently than the guys that pose for Ralph Lauren sweaters.
Yeah,
it's going through there, but really, most poses for women though are just truly absurd. Is going through there.
I kind of gave up on, the fashion magazines and stuff. I used to be a lot more into that. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to have to go pick one up and just, with what you just said in mind, and kind of give myself a new look at it. I
can find them, men. I'm going to Google it here while you go to the next.
See if you can find that because. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see it. All right. So are you familiar with the artist named Ryan Adams?
Ryan Adams?
Ryan Adams. Mm. He was once dubbed the new Bob Dylan. No. He's been around for about 20 years, I want to say. He is in trouble. The FBI is investigating him to determine whether he broke the law by exchanging sexually explicit messages with an underage fan. He allegedly began communicating with her. He's 44 right now. she's a bass player, and she was supposedly 14. They reviewed messages, including explicit photos that she sent when she was 16, as well as screenshots of Adams exposing himself during video calls. What did we talk about last show?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, in the messages, Adams repeatedly asked her about her age, asking her to prove that she's 18. She claimed she was older in some of them, but she never did provide any proof. So he could be in trouble. And, they put his latest album release on hold because of this. And one of the pedals for, music pedals, they discontinued. It's the one that was branded for him. And they're donating money that they have sold towards, ending sexual abuse. But, Adam says that the stories are making it into the media and they are upsettingly inaccurate. What do you think?
Probably a little bit of both. Let's go through there.
At what point, though?
At one point, if you didn't get, you ask, but if you don't get an answer, I think you would have to say, we need to stop this conversation. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah. And he should have stuck to his guns, but I don't know.
It just, that's going to mess. We don't have a middle ground right now. So I just don't know why folks are allowing themselves to be, are going down a path that can't possibly have a good end for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Emma Thompson. Haven't seen her in a while. Have you seen her?
No. I'm sure she's doing a crap ton of stuff.
She's so good. Mm-hmm. She quit a movie in protest of sexual misconduct. It was an animated movie, and it was a movie called Luck, and she quit because she wrote a letter to the Los Angeles Times explaining why. And she said it's because the studio, Skydance Animation, hired former Pixar and Disney exec John Lasseter, and he left Disney after allegations of inappropriate behavior, including unwanted touching, hugs, and all of that. And she left because they had hired him. And in the letter that was published, she said, "It feels odd to me that you and your company would consider hiring someone with his pattern of misconduct, given the present climate." And, she goes on. What?
Actually, I did read the letter, and it's brilliant because
it's really
honestly, here she has a point. When they hire him, the people that work for that company don't have a choice like she does to walk away. They are not economically viable. If John Lasseter wants to start his own company, mm-hmm. and then people can choose whether or not to work for him. But when this other company hires John, the people underneath of it don't really have a choice. And I they don't. I understand the point of. If John wants a second choice, he has to create his own second chance. He gets to create a second chance. Mm-hmm. But the men and women that work under this company, they don't have she has a choice. She's got zillions of dollars.
Yep.
She can walk away from this. It won't harm her.
Yep.
But there are other people that are in that place. I think that's the same with like Louis C.K. stuff like that. He can rent out a space and do his own stand-up, because then people can decide, if he needs to hire a bartender, I want to work for this guy or I want to do that. Mm-hmm. But when a comedy club over here hires him, the people that work for the comedy club don't have a choice about whether to be around someone who has harmed others.
Yeah. That's actually a great point.
So the letter, the letter really points it out. This is the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah.
Pretty much of what she said.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a very valid point. And she goes, if someone in my position doesn't do this, who can?
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. I've always liked her.
So even more respect, from me. and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
No, I really like it. That's awesome. Okay. This is actually a kid's story, but it could be helpful for a fetish. So I'm going to share it with everybody as our closing shot for the week. So this little kid, this mom has a lot of tattoos, and this little kid wanted to be like mom, so he drew on himself and made his own tattoos with permanent marker. And one of them, which he described, and he's only like 4. Okay. Yeah, he's 4. He thought he was drawing a dinosaur on his thigh, but his grandmother was like, oh my God, he just doodled a huge big penis on his leg. So she's covered in them and she's like laughing and all that. But then it becomes, how do you get the permanent marker off without having to like wait a couple weeks? Basically, oh, and by the way, when she did get the magical remover stuff, you can, she had to wait like 5 hours to let him enjoy the tattoos. So they like cut a deal, and she said, okay, you can wear these for a while, but now we're going to clean them off. Anyway, so she, used a little bit of nail polish remover and warm water, and then got the worst of it, and then coconut oil to get rid of the stains. So keep coconut oil.
I would certainly make sure that the permanent markers are out of the way, because if this has been regular marker, could just the next time the kid was in the shower.
Yeah. No, it was like a Sharpie kind of a deal, but it's so cute though. Mm-hmm. And the fact that his dinosaur looked like a big giant wiener on his leg.
And it's because, once again, we're so socialized to be freaked out by sex that if we weren't freaked out, we wouldn't look at it and go, penis. But then sometimes you look at things and you go, yeah, penis. My sister has a cat, has a spot on it, looks like a penis.
Does it really?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Can you take a picture of that for me?
The cat always hides. We never can do it. It constantly hides. It's the biggest scaredy cat ever.
Okay.
But I'll see if she's got one. I'll have to ask her what's going like that.
I would very much like to see that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, anything else up?
No, hopefully at one point Minnesota here will dig out of the snow.
Don't count on it.
It has been an exhausting, like 6-8 weeks now that we have been dealing with cold and snow and stuff like that, and I just hang in there, everyone. The one thing is all the sex toys are at Fantasy Gifts. Nothing rots. Nothing goes out of business. You can come on in. You can shop online. Well, that's one thing I bummed out. I saw like a lot of places in town a few weeks ago were saying, we have all this leftover Valentine candy. The high-end shops, people couldn't get out to buy it or stuff like that.
Yep.
And I just felt really bad because none of my stuff goes bad.
Perfect.
You know what I mean? But we're just think spring, everyone. We are we could use. We need a slow, nice melt so we don't flood. Because otherwise, we'll be wearing waders and doing the show.
Well, and just consider a spring fling.
Yeah.